Hey all, this is 012Boku coming at you with another review in the spoiler zone, and we are continuing episode 9 of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Yep, episode 9, guys. We are all the way to that. I know it seems like a long time, but we're doing what we can and we're finding what we can, but we're on episode 9 of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and I'm here to bring you that. So, as always, we will begin with the plot. It leaves off basically with the, sorry, I know for you guys who watch this and if anyone else comes live, I always love how I have, one guy for a second and then, he always seems to go off. I know that's not always happens, so it's probably just random people who stumble right on into my stream and then, leave, boop! Or, for lack of a better term, it could be bots. But, I do this so I can get these out faster for the episodes reviews, since I do the episode reviews and the movie reviews and such like that. I'll do with my usual editing and stuff. But with these episode reviews, I figured, with TV shows and anime, I'll just do them as they come as live reviews. But anyhow, we start off with episode 9 right after the fifth laboratory implosion by envy and lust, and we have Edward Elric, who is in the hospital recovering, voiced again by Rumi Paku, Vic Mignogna. He wakes up wondering what happens. We have Maria Ross, Kaori Nazuka, Meredith McCoy, and Denny Brosh, Yuki Hayashi, Jim Ferrunda, who are there. And they basically explain to him, the fifth laboratory, exploded. We don't know what happened. Edward Elric, starts freaking out. All of a sudden, Denny Brosh and Maria Ross speak in unison, saying, We apologize for this in advance, Edward Elric, Fullmetal Alchemist, sir. And basically, Maria Ross smacks Edward Elric in the head, shocking him what's going on. And Ross basically says, you can trust some of us. You can trust me and Denny Brosh, Sergeant Brosh and I. We're not going to betray you. You don't have to do this alone. You can trust some adults, because, both Denny Brosh and Maria Ross were upset that they went to the fifth laboratory by themselves and, almost got killed, the both of them. And, there's a scolding. Denny Brosh tried to do it for Alphonse Elric too. He actually did smack him or hit him. And Denny Brosh with a funny, swollen hand, because, Alphonse Elric is made of metal. All of a sudden, you have Edward Elric contemplating his next move, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I have to call Winry about my hand. So Denny Brosh takes him out to call Winry, and you have Edward Elric get on the phone to Winry, and again, Winry, voiced by Megumi Takamoto, Caitlin Glass, picks up the phone and says, Edward, you don't usually make house calls. And he's like, yeah, my arm sort of broke off in or not broke off, my arm stopped working in a fight. Winry's all worried. She's holding up the missing part that, she forgot to put in Edward's arm. And, she's sort of faking an apology, sort of, trying to think like everything's okay. Edward was expecting to be yelled at, but he doesn't get yelled at. He imagines Winry yelling at him, but nothing happens. So, Winry Rockbell agrees to come to Central, and Denny Brosh is taking Edward Elric, back to his room, making a quick jab that, Winry and Edward are boyfriend and girlfriend, which Edward, of course, denies. And that becomes a running joke throughout this show, sort of starting at this point and everything. And what happens is he runs into Alphonse Elric, who is sitting there in the hallway near Edward Elric's room. And, you have Alphonse go, hey, Al, you coming? And Alphonse is like, brother, no, I'll be there in a bit. Because Edward says that, Alphonse hasn't visited him yet. He's wondering what's going on. So, Denny Brosh and Edward are just like, okay, take me back to the room. And Alphonse, is sitting there just depressed. All of a sudden, you have this robot come out of nowhere. This toy robot started running into Alphonse. And then you have this cute looking, injured kid come up and basically look at Alphonse grabbing his toy, and he's like, bye-bye. And, the kid just runs off, and apparently that bothers Alphonse Elric, and he still thinks of number 66, Barry the Chopper, about what he said. Are you sure those feelings are real? Are you sure your brother's real? That he just didn't create you? So Alphonse is still lingering on the old feelings that Barry the Chopper told him, and he's just festering and all that kind of stuff. And then, we have Winry get to Central. She's getting off the train, complaining about the train ride, wondering how Edward and Alphonse do it. She was told she'd see somebody similar, and she finds, she finds Alex Louis Armstrong. There's also a little cameo in episode 9 here where we see Edward and Alphonse Elric's teacher. I forget what her name is. I think Azumi, where we see Azumi in this episode. She's seen right behind Winry Rockbell with her husband Den, or I think whatever her name is. And they're just doing their things with they didn't do anything. They just walked by. So a little cameo for us fans who know they're coming. And I think they did that even in the original anime. But you have Winry Rockbell spot Alex Louis Armstrong, Kenji Utsumi, Christopher R. Sabat, and she walks up to the Major. She's like, Major Armstrong, it's me, Winry. You remember me? And then Alex Louis Armstrong has the unfortunate business of telling Winry what happened to the Elric brothers, what happened to Edward. And then, you have Winry, who's shocked. She runs to the hospital, sees Edward's in bad shape, wanting to know, what they need to do and how things are going. And, she's like ashamed because she's like, if Edward didn't lose that part, you wouldn't have gotten hurt and none of this would have happened. And I think Winry's also chastising Edward for being reckless. And you have Maria Ross, Denny Brosh, and Major Alex Louis Armstrong just boring a hole through Edward, expecting Edward to say something to comfort Winry. And Edward's like, no, Winry, it wasn't your fault for what happened. It was all me. I was reckless. I get into fights all the time. And Winry's like, he didn't notice. I got off scot-free. So Winry's talking about, Edward doesn't need to give her anything, doesn't need to pay her, because she messed up. And when she realizes that Edward doesn't notice the problem, she's like, well, yeah, I'm going to have to charge you extra for coming all the way out to Central. And Edward's like, really? You got to have to do that? And, it just becomes that hilarious sort of thing. And there's also a thing where Edward and Winry, they get into a fight over Edward not drinking his milk. And you have, Winry saying, you're always going to be stunted and never grow if you don't drink your milk. And you have Alex Louis Armstrong ripping off his clothes again and stripping and being like, Edward Elric, you should be ashamed of yourself. And, you have Maria Ross saying, boys will not grow unless they drink their milk. And Denny Brosh is like, yeah, how do you expect the girls to like you? And, Alphonse is peeking in. Edward notices this. Alphonse goes out again. Alphonse is still dealing with what Barry the Chopper said this entire time. And what happens is Mace Hughes, KG Fujiwara, Sunny Straight comes in the room, and he basically meets Winry, and Mace Hughes is making a quip saying, "Oh, so you seduced your mechanic, Edward? That's how you get all that good auto mail." And Edward's like, "I did not seduce her. She's my best friend. I did not do that." And becomes a huge joke. Winry Rockbell actually works on Edward's arm, and then she leaves him be. And, she needs to go find a hotel or somewhere to stay for the night. But Mace Hughes basically just interjects and brings Winry home with him to be at his daughter Alicia's birthday party. Alicia Hughes, Masato Fukuen, and Shirami Lane, and also to meet his wife, Gracia Hughes, Tomoe Hamba, Anastasia Munoz. And So she's there celebrating this birthday party. She's like a little like weirded out what's going on, and then all of a sudden, she's like saying, "Why am I here?" And he's like, "It's to celebrate, my daughter Alicia's birthday. Isn't that great?" Like Mace was acting all like proud and like powerful and just like giggly at the same time because like I think Winry asks, "How old are you, Alicia?" And Alicia's like, "I'm 2, 3," and they're like, "Oh," like just like giggling over the cuteness. And the party continues, and Winry Rockbell actually confides into Maze Hughes, letting Maze Hughes know, she wishes that the Elric brothers would tell her more, that we're supposed to be friends. It was the same thing that they did in Resin Bull. They left without saying anything, and how could they do that to me? And Mace Hughes actually gives some advice saying that, the Elric brothers probably do this to you because their actions speak louder than words. They know if they tell you everything and give you the whole rundown that you're just going to worry and you're going to be wondering about them. And they probably do this so, and stay silent so you do not worry about them because they don't want you to over worry about what's going on. They want you to know that they're going to be okay and safe. So, Mace Hughes actually gives some very good advice there. All of a sudden, it ends with Alicia, or no, Winry Rockbell putting Alicia down, and you have these 3 boys fighting over Alicia, and then you have Mace Hughes taking out his pistol saying, "If any of you boys get frisky with my daughter, we're gonna have to get rough." And then Winry's like, "That's way too loud speaking with your actions, Mr. Hughes." It's a little funny scene. We come to the next day where, Mace Hughes and Winry Rockbell are actually making there's actually a scene where Gracia says that Winry can come back anytime, visit the family. Mace Hughes is also okay with this. And you have Alicia Hughes come out, basically call Winry her sister, and you have Winry embrace Alicia saying, "I always wanted another sister, and this is really cool." And you have Mace Hughes and Winry Rockbell coming back to the hospital. They're in good spirits with each other. They're about to go see Edward. And then you have, Edward who's eating his lunch. He notices the milk and starts complaining about the milk as he's eating his lunch. And then, you have Alphonse who's in the room with them, still looking depressed. He's like, you have to eat, brother. You need to keep up your strength. And then, Edward probably shouldn't have said this and set Alphonse off, but like Edward is saying, "Yeah, you're right. I wish I wasn't so short, Alphonse. I wish I was more like you. You're so big and stuff like that." And then Alphonse just snaps at saying that you're so big comment. And like Alphonse goes, "I didn't want this body. I didn't wish for it or ask for it." And then Edward's like, "Yeah, okay." Like he realized he overstepped the line. He's like, "Yeah, okay, Alphonse, I'm sorry. I apologize about that." And then Alphonse starts judging whether Edward will be able to get their bodies back or his body. And then, you have Edward just like, getting nervous, getting upset, thinking, that there's something going on here. And then all of a sudden, you have Winry, who's also there. Winry, Denny Brosh, Maria Ross, and Mace Hughes are all overhearing this. And, you have Winry questioning Alphonse's resolve and, like, wondering what's bringing this about. And then, Alphonse says, you and Grandma Panako are in on this too, Winry Rockbell. You've been lying to me this entire time. And, Alphonse brings up how he thinks Edward hated him and, made him his fake brother and just gave him these fake feelings. And while Alphonse is on his crescendo and saying, "Do you have anything to answer to that, brother? Do you?" Yeah, Edward just bang his fist on the table, and then he just leaves the room and walks out. All of a sudden, Winry gets really mad, and in a hilarious thing, you have Winry attacking Alphonse with her wrench. And, Alphonse is like saying, "Winry, what did I do?" And, she keeps beating him with the wrench. It causes Maria Ross, Denny Brosh, and Mace Hughes to flinch. And, she's like tearing up and still attacking, Alphonse at the same time. She's like, do you know what he really was about? Do you know what the question he really wanted to ask you? Because I know what it was. He wanted to know if you regretted what he did to you that day. And, if you resented him or regretted him for what he did for you that day, putting you in the armor. And, Alphonse, realizes, uh-oh, I made a mistake. And then all of a sudden, you have, a flashback where Winry and, Panako are working on Edward Elric. And, Edward is there sobbing, wondering, I put him in this metal body. He can't sleep. He can't eat. He can't, feel or taste or touch. I'm such a terrible person. I hope he doesn't resent me. And Panako's like, just ask him. And Edward's like, no, I'm too afraid to. And, you have Winry just crying and saying, you guys are brothers. You're all you have. And she's slowly just hitting him with the wrench, just in tears. And, all of a sudden she snaps out of it and orders Alphonse to go after Edward and go find him. And, Alphonse does this and, runs after Edward. And all of a sudden, Edward is on the roof. There's laundry on the roof, like towels and bed sheets drying. All of a sudden, Alphonse gets there and Edward's like, you know what, Alphonse? We haven't sparred in a long time. Let's go. And then Edward just starts fighting with Alphonse. Alphonse is shocked by this. He's trying to defend, not trying to fight back. Edward keeps going. Edward actually throws, I think, a sheet at Alphonse, blocks Alphonse's view. Edward kicks him down. Edward's like, I beat you. And, Alphonse is like, that wasn't fair, brother. And he's like, and Edward's like, that fair is however we perceive it, brother. And then they're actually both laying there, cooler heads have prevailed, and they start talking about it. And they start going through all their memories of what they did with childhood, asking Winry out, challenging each other, doing stupid stuff, all the things boys do. And Edward just asks plainly, do you think that's all fake, Alphonse? And Alphonse is like, no, that's not fake. That's real, and I believe it's real. And, both the boys strengthen their resolve for each other, and they fist bump. And as, Alphonse is helping Edward back up and back to his hospital bed, you have Mace Hughes and Winry Rockbell standing there. And Winry Rockbell looks at Mace Hughes, and she says, you know what, Mr. Hughes? I know you said actions speak louder than words, but it's nice to hear it every once in a while. And then, you think the episode is ending there, but then it cuts to Scar, who is in this, desolate land, and all of a sudden, he's wondering what's going on, asking for his brother, and, saying that his master, his people are all dead. And then all of a sudden, you have Salt J. Kimberly, Hiroyuki Yoshino, and Eric Vale come up out of nowhere saying, he's a military man and an alchemist responsible for exterminating people in the sector. The white goes light, the light goes white, and then all of a sudden, Scar wakes up. Scar, who is still voiced by Kenta Miyake and J. Michael Tatum, wakes up. He's injured. He's laying down. He seems a little out of it, but he wakes up and he realizes there are these two other Ishvalans with him, and these two Ishvalans saved him from the sewer. So Scar just survived his fight with Gluttony and Lust, probably just by a hair. And he asks the boy and the old man, is his arm still there? And, the boy lifts up the sheet. Scar still has his alchemist arm. And, the boy asks, what's it about? And Scar's like, it's a gift from my family. It's precious to me. And, Scar also learns, too, that there's other Ishvalans surviving in these slums because he's in a slum in East City with these other Ishvalans. And that's how the episode ends. Bringing the plot even more forward again. I would have to say that the characters of note for this episode definitely have to be Edward Elric, Alphonse Elric. I would like to say Mace Hughes. I mean, Mace Hughes' line was good. I will say Mace Hughes is the Dark Horse character because that little line that Keiji Fujiwara and Sonny Strait give Winry Rockbell and their voices, is spot on. I mean, it works really well. So I will say Mace Hughes is the Dark Horse, but I will say the three main characters who bring it the most in this episode are Edward Elric, Romy Paku, Vic Mignogna, Alphonse Elric, Rie Kugamiya, Maxi. Oh, I forgot to make Alphonse Elric is still voiced by Rie Kugabiya, and Maxie Whitehead. So sorry if I didn't mention that earlier. I should have, but I completely forgot to mention it. So yeah, Rie Kugabiya and Maxie Whitehead had a great performance as Alphonse. And Megumi Takamoto and Caitlin Glass, who does Winry Rockbell, has a great performance in this episode too. I mean, they just brought out the raw emotion and the care about each other, about how Winry's their friend, you know, and how she's disgusted about how Alphonse thinks Edward created everything fake. The Elric brothers fighting with each other, giving off emotion, renewing their pact. Just great stuff. Pitch perfect acting in both Japanese and English. Both are really well done. And, you know, I really have no complaints for what they did. Those three characters just stick out the most and deliver great performances in this episode. My final thoughts on this episode is it's a great character builder episode, filled with drama. There's great comedic moments with Maze Hughes, the Elric brothers themselves, everybody else involved. You know, it really accents the drama and the emotion. It's also a pretty big emotional episode, realizing Edward Elric had all those regrets. Alphonse was dealing with the thoughts put into his head by Barry the Chopper that were still lingering on him. Winry having to be caught in the middle of it. So it really built on itself well and followed the same thing from the manga as well as the original anime. So, you know, it does really good work in that regard. I'm just going to say on a little side note, next episode is where things are going to be different. And also it's going to feel weird to me because, again, Mace Hughes is an important character. And now don't quote me on this, but I think the next episode is Mace Hughes' last episode. And again, I don't think 10 episodes was enough to build Mace Hughes. Now, granted, if they wanted to focus on Mace Hughes' relationship with Roy Mustang and himself, mission accomplished. But at the same time, I think there was still more that they could pull from that. And I don't know, Mace Hughes in Brotherhood just feels rushed. Like he didn't have enough time to develop. It's like, hey, you're the catalyst for this, dead. You know, I mean, I'll rewatch the episode, see what I think of both Japanese and English, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm still gonna stick to that Mace Hughes in the original anime was built as a better character, a better friend to Roy Mustang, as well as a friend to the Elric brothers. Because, like, you know, it's like, you know, Mace Hughes and the Elrics are just sort of like friends off the bat with, like, neither build nor conscience. So I just wanted to give a little side note to this. We'll go over it in the next episode, episode 10, because I do believe that is the episode. But that is it for now. What did you guys think of Fullmetal Alchemist Episode 9, Created Feelings? Is this an episode that you guys like? Is it one that you do? Again, do you like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood here? Or, you know, if so or if not, just let me know. Just leave a comment in the episode or comment down below about this episode. And I will come at you again with another episode of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Until then, this is 012Boku and deuces. Good night, guys.